Sarasota, Florida. A quiet community where families felt safe, where everyday routines seemed calm and predictable. But on November 7, 1997, that tranquility shattered in an instant. Inside one ordinary home, a horrific act unfolded that would scar the entire neighborhood forever. The victim was 35-year-old Sheila Bellush, a loving mother whose existence ended in unthinkable brutality. That afternoon, around 4:15 p.m., her 13-year-old daughter Stevie returned home bursting with joy. A boy she liked had agreed to be her date for the upcoming school dance. She was already picturing the evening, the outfit, the shoes, the little details. Yet as she neared the front entrance, her delight turned to bewilderment. The door hung wide open, an unusual sight in their household. She stepped inside to a thick, eerie quiet and called out for her mom. Moving carefully into the kitchen, she halted in horror. Her mother lay sprawled on the floor, lifeless, surrounded by pools of blood. Crimson splatters covered the walls and surfaces, evidence of the savage struggle that had just taken place. In terror, Stevie grabbed for the phone to summon help, only to find it stained with blood too. Shaken, she rushed to the bedroom for another line. Her trembling fingers began dialing, but she stopped, praying it was all a nightmare. She returned to the kitchen. The grim truth hadn't changed. Her mother was dead. When officers finally reached the home, the sight was devastating. Sheila's body rested face down, one leg extended, the other folded beneath her. The lower face and chest displayed gruesome wounds. It appeared she'd been shot at point-blank range. But the most chilling aspect wasn't the violence alone, it was the innocent witnesses left in its aftermath. Sheila was the mother of 6, including 4 toddlers not yet 2 years old. The quadruplets had wandered the hallway as their older sister arrived. Only one, Timmy, could speak at all, yet his words offered little for detectives pressing questions. Their father, Jose Bellush, tried coaxing details from his young son with care. In the most poignant, heart-wrenching way, Timmy described how a man had come into the house and hurt Mommy. But who was this intruder? Why target someone like Sheila, a devoted parent focused entirely on her loved ones? Investigators swiftly ruled out theft. No valuables were missing. No signs pointed to sexual assault either. This wasn't chance violence. The killer had entered with one purpose: to end Sheila's life. What began as an enigmatic case soon unraveled into a disturbing tale of vengeance, avarice, and heartlessness. This is the heartbreaking story of Sheila Bellush. Sheila Lee Walsh entered the world on October 19, 1962, in Topeka. Even as a young girl, she drew attention with her vivid blonde hair, lively looks, and unyielding resolve. She was the kind who never backed down from any obstacle, earning admiration from everyone around her. After high school, she took a job as a receptionist at a law office. But her dreams reached much further. She longed for a life rich in affection, security, and accomplishment. That dream seemed within reach when she met Alan. He appeared to possess every trait she sought: good-looking, courteous, well-spoken, and full of allure. Sheila believed fate had sent her the ideal match. Their relationship moved swiftly, so fast that after just 3 dates, Alan proposed, and swept up in emotion, she accepted. In 1982, they wed and settled in Salem. Soon after, 2 daughters arrived, Stevie and Daryl. To outsiders, their world looked perfect. But Sheila hadn't yet seen the shadows lurking beneath her husband's polished exterior. Alan had been born earlier, on June 5, 1955, in Eugene. Raised by a troubled single mother prone to volatility, his early years brimmed with mistreatment and cruelty. Once, she beat him with a stick, cracking his cheekbone and ribs. In another terrifying episode, she doused him in gasoline and attempted to ignite him. Those scars, physical and emotional, shaped him into someone consumed by bitterness, manipulation, and a relentless need to dominate. Though Sheila wed him thinking he was dependable, his true nature emerged soon after the vows. He was ambitious, but his ambition twisted into greed. He dreamed of launching a network of electronics shops and presented a polished business proposal. Convinced of his talent, he shared it with Sheila's father, Don Walsh. Don, impressed by his son-in-law's confidence, invested everything, his savings and even properties transferred into Alan's control, expecting the venture to bring prosperity. Yet Alan's grand promises crumbled. Instead of investing properly, he squandered the money on lavish meals, custom clothing, and a lifestyle he couldn't afford. In barely a year, the enterprise collapsed, bankrupting the Walsh family. Their resources vanished overnight. Sheila felt crushed and betrayed. She trusted him completely, and he dragged her whole family into ruin. Despite the disillusionment, she stayed, her loyalty giving him a chance to rebuild. Seeking renewal, Alan relocated the family to San Antonio, Texas. There, he changed his last name to Blackthorne. Under this alias, he launched another enterprise, this time dealing in muscle stimulation equipment sold at steep markups to wealthy buyers, particularly doctors. Alan thrived here. His natural gift for persuasion, smooth talk, and undeniable charisma won over even skeptical customers. Before long, he'd recaptured his fortune driving luxury vehicles, shopping at elite stores, living extravagantly. But beneath the veneer of success, the marriage eroded. For Sheila, the cracks grew impossible to ignore. Alan's darker side surfaced more often. His control extended into intimate areas, where his unusual desires created mounting tension. The confident woman who'd once been captivated by him now increasingly contemplated escape. Divorce shifted from a distant idea to her only path to freedom. Alan sought not partnership or intimacy, but power, humiliation, and pain. With other women, he orchestrated encounters built on dominance. Worst of all, he insisted his wife watch these degrading scenes. At first, Sheila endured it, trying to preserve the marriage for the children's sake. But the emotional toll became overwhelming. The vibrant, strong woman she once was faded into someone fearful, anxious, and deeply miserable. Eventually, she left their shared bedroom, unable to bear his demands. That withdrawal fueled Alan's fury. The abuse worsened, from cutting words to outright physical attacks. Once, he forced her head into a toilet, trying to drown her. Another time, he beat her severely. Sheila alerted police to these terrifying episodes, not yet knowing her husband had a pattern of such behavior from previous marriages. Both ex-wives had endured similar torment. By 1987, after 5 turbulent years, Sheila reached her breaking point. They divorced, but the separation ignited a decade-long legal war. Battles over custody of Stevie and Daryl grew vicious, with mutual accusations of abuse, neglect, and manipulation. The animosity persisted even after both remarried. In 1993, Sheila found fresh happiness with salesman Jose Bellush. They married and distanced themselves from Alan's poisonous reach, relocating to Sarasota. 2 years later, their family grew dramatically with quadruplets. The news drew attention, turning their home of 8 into a local curiosity. For a brief time, Sheila's turbulent history seemed firmly in the past. But Alan refused to let go. Losing custody of his daughters enraged him. Watching his ex-wife thrive in a new marriage with more children only deepened his obsession. He hired a private investigator to track the Bellush family to Florida. Once he knew their address, thoughts of payback consumed him. Alan confided his intentions to a golf acquaintance, Daniel Rocha. Rocha was a petty criminal always short on cash, admiring Alan's wealth and status. To him, Alan was someone to emulate. When Alan asked for help, Rocha agreed readily. Alan spun a story: Sheila was abusing their daughters and needed to face consequences. At first, he spoke of a severe beating, but his requests escalated. He wanted her dead. Rocha knew people who could handle it. For $14,000, he arranged a hitman, Jose Luis Del Toro. On November 7, 1997, Del Toro headed to Sarasota in his grandmother's car. He made 2 stops, first at a sports store for camouflage clothing to blend in, then at a gas station for directions after getting lost. Finally, he arrived at the Bellush home. He forced entry and waited, gun ready, watching Sheila care for her little ones. For a moment, doubt crept in. She didn't match the abuser Alan had described. She seemed like a caring mother amid the chaos of toddlers. He considered walking away, but fate intervened. Sheila spotted him. Startled, she screamed. Reflexively, Del Toro fired. The shot hit her face, dropping her instantly to the kitchen floor. To confirm she was dead, he grabbed a knife from the counter and stabbed her before fleeing. He left behind a nightmare, 6 children, 4 infants, wandering through blood-soaked rooms, crying for a mother who could never answer again. The quest for justice after Sheila Bellush's slaying advanced swiftly once key clues emerged. The perpetrator hadn't been as careful as planned. Biological traces at the scene gave detectives testable material, and a sharp-eyed neighbor noted a suspicious car's license plate outside, a crucial detail. The killer fled across the border to Mexico, but the trail didn't end. He was soon identified, captured, and extradited to face American justice. In July 1999, Jose Luis Del Toro admitted his role, pleading guilty to first-degree murder and armed burglary. He received 2 consecutive life terms without parole. As authorities pieced together the events leading to that fatal afternoon, more names emerged from interviews and filings. Del Toro's cousin, Sammy Gonzalez, cooperated during questioning. His statements clarified the plot's organization. He had recruited Del Toro, and his cooperation pointed to others. Court records and guilty pleas laid bare the full conspiracy. Gonzalez later pleaded guilty to solicitation of capital murder in 2003, earning 15 years behind bars. Yet the hunt for the mastermind continued beyond the triggerman and go-between. Evidence, testimonies, and revelations led straight back to a man driven by obsessive revenge. Allen denied any part, but the case against him told otherwise. Accounts painted a picture of someone consumed by rage over his ex-wife's new happiness and his loss of custody. Court declarations showed he enlisted help, provided payment, and pushed for escalation from threat to murder. He was convicted of conspiracy to commit murder and domestic violence, receiving 2 consecutive life sentences without parole, just like the killer he orchestrated. He ended up in a federal prison in Beaumont, Texas. Daniel Rocha, the golf buddy who connected Allen to those willing to act, also faced consequences. Portrayed at trial as a small-time crook who idolized Allen and needed funds, Rocha was convicted for his role in arranging the plot and sentenced to life without parole. The court recognized the crime not as a spontaneous act, but a calculated scheme born of resentment and ending in bloodshed. Throughout the trials, testimony revealed the chilling planning. Discussions of punishment morphed into talk of killing. The rationale felt cold and pragmatic. Murder would be quick, leaving no resistance, no defense, no chance for her to care for the children and keep custody. For the plotters, it became a matter of expediency. Even so, flickers of doubt surfaced among them, brief realizations that Sheila wasn't the villain Allen claimed, but a devoted parent. Sadly, those second thoughts came too late. The murder happened, devastating 6 young lives and the family who loved her. Allen's drive boiled down to something simple yet poisonous: fury, injured ego, and an insatiable craving for control. When Sheila left the marriage, won custody of their daughters, and built a joyful new existence in Florida with a husband and quadruplets, Allen saw it as unforgivable disloyalty. He couldn't tolerate her freedom, her contentment, or her life without him. Revenge became his answer. For masterminding the murder for hire, Allen got 2 life sentences without parole. Prison didn't halt his turmoil, though. In 2001, inmates assaulted him, nearly killing him. Authorities relocated him for safety. On November 18, 2014, at age 59, Allen died in federal custody. The exact cause remained undisclosed. The heaviest weight of his actions fell on Sheila's children after her 1997 death. Stevie and Daryl, from her marriage to Allen, were only 13 and 11. The quadruplets with Jamie Bellush were toddlers under 2. Orphaned of their mother, the kids grew up under Jamie's care as he shouldered the enormous task of raising 6 grieving young souls. With family support, he provided stability and guided them through the hard years ahead. Over time, they grew into adults, each carving their own way in tragedy's shadow. Stevie, now in her late 30s, has earned recognition for her courage and fortitude, creating a life while giving back to her community. Her journey exemplifies resilience. Daryl and the quadruplets have chosen privacy, staying out of the public eye and focusing on healing away from attention. Though her life ended in pointless cruelty, those who knew Sheila recall her as a woman of kindness, empathy, and strength. A committed mother who faced enormous hardship yet never wavered in her love for her children. Her memory endures in them, in their survival, their growth, and their resolve to move forward after unimaginable grief. If this story gripped you, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the Hidden Cases Files. We bring you true crime cases every night. Until next time, stay alert, stay aware.